evening. The time is now 6:30. If you could all please stand and join with me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Gary Stallborn.
Here.
Linda Jarvis.
Here.
John Peterson.
Here.
Linda Gorman. John Cabela.
Here.
Linda Fedora. Stephanie Walsh.
Here.
Lisa did reach out to me and let me know she would not be able to make it tonight, but I did not hear from Ted. First order of business is to turn off our phones. All right. First order of business is the acceptance of the minutes, and it's a typo on my part, close to March 27th. So we have one or two options. We can proceed with the review and acceptance of the minutes, or we can table it to the next meeting because of my error. So what is your pleasure, folks? You want to table it to next month? Table it to next month. Next meeting, right? Is that a motion?
Make a motion to table the minutes for the next meeting.
Okay. We have a motion to table the minutes to the next meeting. Do I have a second? Seconded by Lynn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, that motion carries. Tonight's meeting is the review of the departments. What I would like to say is, first of all, thank you for all coming out tonight. I appreciate your participation. This is not meant to approve or disapprove of whatever you have to say, but it's for us to be informed and to ask questions. The makeup of our board this year is a little bit newer than last year, as we have several new members. So what I would like is, as we go through each department, if you would just come to the mic, give your name, what your department is, how long you've been in your department, and if you are actually a resident of the town of Plainfield. So hopefully everybody's comfortable with that. I have jokingly said I have 30 questions for everybody. I don't. So there will probably be a few questions for each department to get some clarification. But by all means, we are not here to intimidate in any shape or fashion. This is an informative meeting. We'd like to get to know your department a little bit better and how it functions, what your particular needs are, and how we can address them within the parameters of a budget that works for the town as a whole. So, with that being said, I know the first person up was going to be the fire marshal, but he had called me and said he is not going to be here. So, whoever's going to be taking their place, the alternate, please approach the mic.
Good evening. Kevin Cunningham.
Kelly Dashon.
You want the whole spiel of how long I've lived in town, or not?
Sure.
Okay. Moved in 1986 in the town of Plainfield. No, I do appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the fire marshal. If you have any questions for both of us, we can try to answer as best we can. We have two items. One thing would be you have a singular line item that talks about the budget, but you also have a revenue line item related to directly to relate directly to that department. In this case, things change on a rapid basis. We were just informed that there is a possibility of a $40,000 revenue line for the incoming U-line through the fire marshal's office. Once the facility is up, they go through it and they look at to see what the issues are. So we anticipate $40,000 of that for the review of the documentation. That's for the fire marshal. As far as the budget itself, for the proposed budget, you'll see the singular line talking about his numbers, how they've decreased slightly. You still are, right? Okay. So you'll see that there's department head, and again, these change rapidly. So if you take a look on the book that I gave you, there's a list in there for all the departments. Inclusive of that is the fire marshal. Talks about salary increase and anticipated. Talks about the stipend for the deputy fire marshal, vehicle expenses, supply expenses, training, EOC equipment. So compared to last year, the $943 difference. So that's why we have 2% proposed. Just so you understand what we have from the previous budget lines, again, those change rapidly, and you have incorrect information for their proposed salary increases. That's why you see most of them are 2%, and the rest of it will be contained in the contingency fund there as well.
Is he on the contract?
He's an employee of the town hall supervisor. And he could not make it tonight. He has a class he's already scheduled to do about 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, he called me and asked.
Any questions concerning this department?
What about the reduction in the stipend? What was the-
If you take a look back, we look back a couple of years worth of access and usage by the deputy fire marshal. He wasn't being utilized that much, so we decided to knock it down a little bit, and that would help to make the budget a little tighter. Probably point out one more little thing, and it's minor, but it goes through the entire budget process. We need to have an operating, Office 365. It's a license annually. The license, we were told, would be $264. And just the other day, we were told, no, that's going to be $284. So each one of these items is going to be just a little bit off, but we'll compensate for that later.
So Kevin, you mentioned $40,000 income from UI fire or something, whatever, but are we going to see that money? When are we going to actually see
He
it?
said he anticipates that it was after July.
Okay,
So it should be next year's budget.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions for this department?
The stipend for the deputy fire marshal, is that, he gets a flat rate all year long, or is it?
Only if he uses it.
Only if he's using it?
Yep.
Okay, so he has it to use.
Not a lot this year, is it?
Anybody have any other questions?
If you want, I can add on to that. You talk about the deputy fire marshal for the new people who are on board. The fire marshal goes out to service items during the nighttime in case there's a concern for a fire. He goes out to check them out. So if he's busy, he has to have help, then that's why we have a deputy, and he would take over for him. So he hasn't been used much over the past year.
Plus, when you're on vacation, you gotta cover it.
Okay.
Thank you. This time, registrar office.
You'll have to excuse my voice, allergies. Let's say Rod Shirrick, Plainfield resident, been on the job for 1.5 years. And I think that's what I need to tell you. I'm new at this, so help me out, folks. I see what the budget was, and I see where we're at right now. And what are your questions, please?
All right, on the election workers, we're looking at a 12% increase. I imagine some of that is based on the fact that minimum wage has gone up and the fact that we have to hold the polling places up longer than we typically would normal.
Well, we had, example, early voting for the presidential election primary. We were mandated by the state to work 3 of us, 4 days, at 8 hours a day. And we brought in 34 votes. 34 votes. That came out to $50 a vote, I believe.
Election fraud.
And I had a chance to talk to
Signing?
Sonia, yeah, who drew a blank there for a minute, and she said there's a bit of a reimbursement coming from the state, but it's nowhere near enough to cover what.
No, we got a check for, we got money for $10,500. And we've already spent half of it. And we still have 14 days of early voting to go through in November. 8 hours, and then two days at 12 hours.
Do you know if she has reached out to our local representatives about this issue that's affecting the smaller towns, in this, particularly in our region?
I don't know if you're familiar with Roback, but that's our, okay. They did have, we had a meeting, a Zoom meeting where all the complaints came in, and every single one of them, or not every single, but the bulk of them were because of small towns having to spend this kind of money, and them telling us how many hours we have to work and how many people we have to put on the job.
Hopefully they respond in a
Well,
appropriate way.
From what I understand, there's something going through the legislature right now that might help us going forward. But there, we have our crystal ball. We have to say, okay, our budget's now, so we have to say this is what we have to do. And I mean, this is what we guessed at. I can't even tell you if we'll go over that. I don't know.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, librarian.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Fortress, and I'm the president of the Aldrich Library. I've been president for over 4 years. We are asking for a small increase in our budget for the library. We have 4 part-time employees and a librarian. All our part-time employees receive minimum wage, which increased on January 1st to $15.69. The minimum wage is going to be adjusted each January, but we don't know what it is because I guess the Department of Labor calculates it for a 12-month period ending June. We've also had increases, as everyone has, for the cost of living, oil, office supplies, and most importantly, the cost of books has gone up.
Any questions? Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Hello, Karen Stone, Animal Control Officer, I've been here 17 years, and no, I am not a resident of Plainfield. On budget, the salaries, the first one is contractual, the next to minimum wage updates. The only other thing I have in here is a vet line item increase because of the cost of veterinary care now. And then the next one is the $528 for the 2 computers that have the update.
Did you have a major increase in usage, vet usage this past year? It's driving
Well,
anything,
the veterinary, as of today, we're about, maybe about $200 shy of my line item for this year. It's very hard though, as far as trying to figure out what we're going to have to send to a vet on a day-to-day basis or a month-to-month basis or whatever. Just the cost of veterinary care in general. I mean, veterinary rabies shots have gone from $15 to $65. They no longer allow us to just bring an animal in for, just a quick check. You have to have a complete thorough checkup, even pound animals. So that brings like a $50 bill to like a $350 bill.
Do you anticipate a line item for this department? for the
No,
year?
no. So what, with the animal control department, the town funds their salaries and a small portion of these expenditures. It gets rolled over into that dog fund account.
Okay.
So if there's overage, it'll be absorbed.
Okay.
We collect licenses, dog licenses, and a portion of that goes to the state of Connecticut, and a portion can stay in that fund. Whatever she goes over, she uses that fund to cover her. Right now, there's maybe $5,000 in that account, minus the licensing fees that go to the state of Connecticut.
Are there stipulations as to what that fund can be used for?
Dog fund, anything, yeah.
Anything to do with?
Yeah, not anything outrageous, but like vet bills, capital, like for her, department, that type of stuff, I can use the dog fund for, yes.
And then salaries, you have a 17% increase.
I have 2 employees.
Yep. Is that due to minimum wage or?
One's minimum wage, the other is, she's not on minimum wage, but she's been there, so we're giving her a little bit of a raise.
If you don't mind. You're looking at my paper for 17%?
Yes.
Yeah, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that it's really what you should be looking at is the current proposed budget of 2%.
Still says 17.
For that person? Yeah, we get,
Two people,
Yep.
salaries. I'm sorry, it says one person.
There's two people. That should be two.
What paper do you have, 410-24?
Or something.
yep.
But
But
you
it's
have 2 employees, right?
I have two
Yeah, there's
employees.
two, for two part-time.
Even on the new one, although it says part-time worker, in parentheses, it says one, it should say two.
There's two, yeah, correct.
And it is a 17%.
Yeah, because the kennel cleaners, the minimum wage goes up, so.
And you had two this year? You're correct. You had
Yes.
two.
We've had two for 3 years.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Your department runs 24/7?
It does, I am on call.
And you're part of the supervisor union?
I am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Cal.
You're welcome.
Hello, so I'm Shannon Fagan, I'm the Economic Development Director. I've been here for almost 3 months, and I am not a resident of Plainfield. Some questions I think you'll ask regarding my budget is the offsite support for $24,000. So that one is John Kuskowski from Tisch Planning and Policy Group. We will be using him for transitioning me into our bigger projects. And currently we have $3 million in active grants. So he's going to kind of help with ensuring we're meeting our deadlines for those grants.
He's a subcontractor.
Yeah.
How much marketing have you done this year so far?
So the marketing budget right now is still at $5,000, but we're putting that towards, you know, the Explore Plainfield brochures.
Yep.
That fund is going towards that, and we increased it for the next year because we want to kind of reinvent the map, make it more, not so much interactive, but kind of things pop up for 2D images, and so it kind of catches the eyes when people open it, they actually want to look at what the places are.
Have you used this year's current budget?
We are in the process right now of using it. We have to use the funds by June 30th, so they'll all be used before the new year.
And you want need to increase it by $2,000 because you want to change the brochure?
Yes, we want to change it, which would include a redesign fee from Lou, who does our designing.
And then training and conferences, you've got a big increase there.
Yep, so the goal of that would be to have me go to more conferences, like brownfield properties. They have conferences, CCM ones, as well as our PBA and Chamber of Commerce memberships all come out of that fund.
And then your printing, is that also for the brochures?
No, so that was a typo from last year. It was inputted as 80, so we're bringing it back to when it was 800.
Well, I've got 800 in this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, last year on mine shows we had 80, so it
Okay.
looks like a 900% increase, but it's always been 800, it was just a typo from.
But my question is that also for the brochures or for something else?
Oh, for printing, there could be miscellaneous items. If we're doing something on the spur of the moment, we want to be able to print it out for marketing. That's what we use it for.
So, for marketing?
Well, for anything, really. If you're talking about an event that could be happening, you want to be able to print it out.
Which is marketing?
You could say that, but it's basically printing costs. You're talking about paper, because we try to share the paper costs as well.
So really, her budget for marketing will be $7,800, because really printing is marketing.
Well, public relations, you go through items that you want to be able to promote, again, on the spur of the moment. We've got different events that are happening in town. We want to be at a table and be able to promote other things we're doing.
Market.
You can call it whatever you want to, but it's still printing costs. And there have been in the past, we've actually gone out to a printer to actually have things done as well.
Anyone else? Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Welcome to Plainfield, in your first budget.
Thank you.
All right. Tax collector convening the scheduled vacation.
I heard her asking when we'd have the town hall department heads, and then she booked her vacation.
Is that how that works?
But if you have any questions, feel free.
So is this where Mary Ellen gets up and speaks?
I'm doing that stuff.
That tax.
I don't know, what do you want to ask? I have Karen's current report that is run through March, I want to say. What we have still left to collect is $516,000. And for suspense, which is what she does in May, when she moves things over to the suspense account, I know some of you guys have been on the board for a while, some hasn't. So in the month of May or June, what Karen will do, some items that she can't collect anymore, they go to a suspense account, and then we try to collect money still from it for those items, but they're not part of your grand list anymore. They're in the suspense account. So right now, for this year, because all year long I collect for the suspense account too, it's $16,000 left. So the combination of the two, $532,000.
Now, she's got quite a bit of a jump on the computer, hardware, software, and supplies expense, up $4,500 from the previous year. Is that in connection to the email we sent out earlier? Or is, no, that is a reduction.
Okay.
It's
That,
software, her department has special software that she needs to do. That's why you see in my report, it says that the increased software costs and of course the Office 365 license. That's why there's a huge jump there.
And she's not part of the union, so is she getting a 2 or 3?
she is right now, I think, proposed in the budget for 3.
Right.
I think she's 3.
But the other worker in the department is in one of the unions, so that's a 2 for that person.
Yeah, I'm looking at the department.
Yeah,
Yep.
3.
So if they're not in the union, they get a 3 or more? And
Well,
if they're
in the union right now, we budgeted 2, but they're still negotiating, so it may be 2, it may not be 2, it may be more than 2. So what we're trying to show right now with the 2%, that potentially this is the cost. But it could be more, it could be less.
For non-union, we had it listed as 3 at this point.
On the budget too, on the front page for the revenue, you can see supplemental vehicle tax, and you can see back taxes. Those two numbers, I worked with Karen, and we left them as they were for current year budget. So I think back tax is $300,000, and supplemental, I can't recall what it is. But we left those as current year.
She's confident in those
Yeah.
numbers?
Yeah. We don't want to be over aggressive and budget a bigger revenue number. We're comfortable with those numbers. If it comes in more, that's good. But those are numbers that we think we're comfortable with.
Is she close to those numbers for this year?
Yeah, we're over those numbers honestly for this year.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you can answer this, but in this page that we got in our binder back in March, and what we have on this most up-to-date budget, last year on the salaries for one full-time and one part-timer, it was showing $49,249. But on this one, it was showing $54,000. So there's a $5,000 difference there.
Does it make the 2% and, I don't have it for
But they're looking, was there somebody hired mid-year or something?
She had,
Because the
she
proposed,
has she has a person in there to
Right.
fill in if needed,
okay.
in salaries.
All right,
Five
because the
thousand.
proposed in the binder says 50,727,
Yep.
but the revised that came out today says 55,334. That's almost $5,000 difference.
Yeah, that's not, this is what it should be. The amended budget should be
So we should be going by the amended budget.
That's,
That's not right.
yeah,
Okay.
that's wrong.
So we should,
Should be 54.
okay.
That's what was in the proposed budget. 24.
Any other questions?
I was curious, did we hire somebody different for that position? Is that
For
what-
downstairs, for the
Yeah.
tax office, no. She still has herself and a person, full-time person in the town hall union. She has money set aside if she needs someone to come in during collection time. If the collections are busy, she sometimes calls someone in to help out, sometimes she doesn't. So it's there just in case.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Finally.
Good evening, I'm Ray, Town Planner, representing the Building Department. I've been an employee here for 22 years, and I am not a town resident. So for our budget, notable points of interest, the salaries line item has been reduced by $36,452, for a 35% reduction. And that was due to temporary merging of two positions, the zoning officer and office clerk. Training and conferences have an increase 100% for $800, and that is due to zoning officer certification. GIS hosting has been reduced $266, which is an 8% reduction, and that is due to eliminating some unneeded services. Vehicle expenses is a new line item for $2,000, and that is to perform necessary maintenance to the current vehicle. New tires were priced out at about $1,000. Undercoating, because it is starting to get rusty, and new battery for about $200.
Why is that consolidation of two positions? Because I thought I heard you say temporary.
It is temporary, so the office clerk has stepped up to the zoning officer position. While she is going through training, she'll be taking on both roles, and once the training has concluded, we'll be looking to hire either a part-time or full-time position for the clerk.
So is that going to be this year?
No, that will be a couple years down the road.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just for clarification, this number on this sheet, the one you sent today, for the salary line items is the one we're going by, not the one in this.
Correct.
Because this is like completely different.
I think I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, you're talking about the ones in my book, the ones that are all individual?
Yeah.
Things change every day. I couldn't keep up with it. So I tried doing it, but there's no way.
You have your own vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Does anybody else use that vehicle?
The zoning officer, yes, and occasionally other departments, if they need a vehicle, theirs is out or down.
Any questions? Thank you, Ryan.
Diane Talbot, town clerk, and town clerk for about a little over 2 years, and I'm a planning president. The collection on town clerk fees, you're seeing that go up about 25,000. We put in for 225,000 last year. We're already at 282,000, just a little over that. So we've already exceeded what we predicted last year. So we suggested that we go up a little bit more, and I agree with that. The town clerk copies as well is going up. We had it in for 5,000. We're going to go for 7,500 next year. To date, we're at 8,200. So both lines have already increased what we predicted they would be for last year. And we restructured the clerk's office. We are going down permanently to 2 employees. So that brings the salary line item down. And IQS is our indexing system. That's going to fall under that general index line. We are up for a contract renewal. It's going to happen, I think, in December, but I did ask them to give me a rough estimate as to what we would be looking at. And it's going to be an increase. It's a 5-year contract. It's going to be an increase of about 20%, but at 5% each year. So each year we should be looking at a 5% increase going up. Supplies and expenses, both Autumn and I will be attending, we're still going through training, and we're doing both conferences this year, which is we usually don't do, but Wyndham County is hosting the fall one. Because we're hosting, I feel like we need to know what we're hosting. So we're going to attend a conference next week, so we have a good idea of what we're about to undergo, and we're going to attend both those conferences, which is good educational purposes for both of us anyway. So that's a little bit higher this year. I don't foresee that happening every year, though. We are 2 introverted people in there, so it's probably going to go back down. But for this year, we've got to get out there and do it. And that's about it. This computer software equipment, I believe that line item is going up. I'm not sure why. Is that because of our email accounts?
Office
and that?
365 requires.
Yeah, so that's that across the board. Everybody's is going up with that. Any questions?
Yes.
Yep.
Who's going to cover the office when you both off the training?
Cindy Mattow. She is.
So there's somebody in
yep.
line?
Yep. She's one of our retired assistants, and she's still sworn in as, she's a resident of Plainfield. She's still sworn in as an assistant town clerk. She's still cleared through the state vital system to accept all birth, marriage, and death records. So we've maintained her in the office as an active clerk.
Now, is there a line item for her services?
No, my budget is over, I don't even know, Kelly, where are we paying her? Are we paying her through the,
Record preservation.
okay, yeah, so that's going to come out of the dollar fund, and the dollar fund does have money in there for any additional help that we need to pull in. It would be Cindy.
And that's okay to use that?
It is.
I am Rick Martell. I'm the building inspector, one of them, and I'm from the town of Plainfield. I retired in July, but at this time we still can't find any inspectors. There's been over 65 inspectors that have been retired in the last year in the state of Connecticut. Right now, they have a class going on. The class is actually about to be completed, and we are talking to one member of that class that we're hoping that he'll come to Plainfield, and we're really hoping. But the biggest problem the town of Plainfield is going to have, in my opinion, is the pay. All right? An average salary for a building official through the state of Connecticut is anywhere from $89,000 to $105,000. We pay $78,000. So anybody coming out of school, will they come here for $70,000, where they can get $85,000 to $95,000 to $100,000 somewhere else? And I'm talking locally, and I'm not talking big cities or anything like that. Because we offer above the $78,000, we can offer 15% above that. That's in our union contract. So we can offer him more money than the 78. And I think we might have to. I'm just throwing things out there because I can picture it happening. That's all. We really didn't change any of our line items much at all. The assistant inspector and computer salaries are not there anymore. Basically because Kyle's getting ready to retire also. Then relocation, we kept that the same. You can see that we used quite a bit of that up. Supplies and expenses, we kept that the same. And I think that's about it. I don't know if you have any other questions. Because right now it's Rob Kerr from Canterbury and myself are doing part-time. He does a few days, I do a few days, and that's how it's been going on since July.
Is there plans to replace the assistant building inspector?
No, there isn't.
So we're going from 2 full-time people,
2 part-time.
2 part-time?
That's all we have right now, is 2 part-time.
Well, 2 part-time building inspectors.
You gotta realize the assistant, okay, wait a minute.
The assistant
Do
is
you-
a part-time also?
All right, the assistant building official, all he ever did for being the building official is when I was either on vacation or out sick. He really wasn't there doing his work on a daily basis. Does that make any sense?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. But I talked to him a lot more than I talked to you.
Yeah.
So technically, there's 3 part-time people doing that job right now.
Not really.
According to your
Not really, it's just me and Rob. Kyle's really not in the picture.
Okay.
So are you splitting the department head salaries of what pays you?
Currently?
Currently, yes. Yes,
Splitting out of that,
We're
line item?
contracting 2 people to do the work.
right,
Out of that line item?
right, because we're both working less than 20 hours, so we're both set up as contractors.
Do you have anybody in mind for the contracted part-time that you have for $59,800?
Oh, the contracted building, that's for you. Correct.
Yeah, I'll add on.
Okay, that's a different situation, hold on a second.
This is a very difficult department because, as you were saying, you can't find people who are certified. We're hoping that we can entice someone to come in once they get certified to be a full-time person. So that would take care of that top line right there, it says 78,357. We have 2 people contracted right now. We'd like to continue contracting with them because we'd like to have somebody to be able to work with Uline on a regular basis, almost daily. But go out there and check everything like we did for Amazon and check it, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that way Uline can come up quicker. So we talked to them about that, and they thought it was a great idea because they actually would be building their building in 2 years versus something that size taking much longer. So for the near foreseeable future, I'd like to continue contracting 2 part-time people under contract to continue on doing support for the building inspections, other things that are going on, but 1 person will be dedicated most weeks to going to Uline.
Is that a per diem contract?
Yeah.
So that would be part of that $59K?
Yeah.
You gotta realize a building permit for Uline is gonna be over $1 million.
Yeah, I realize that. But we won't have it in another year.
But the thing is
We
too,
won't
is
have
that
that money again.
if you ever look at a building official book. We are supposed to generate funds to run our department. Believe me, we generate a lot more funds than what it takes to run our department. Not even on a regular basis, not even counting when a big building comes in, even on a regular basis. There's months that we do 100 permits a month, and if 100 permits a month, a minimum permit is $45.
So let's take a look at the front page for revenue.
Yeah.
You'll see that the building permits have been averaging about $200,000.
Right.
We anticipate that Uline will be paying over $800,000, but we were very conservative by putting $800,000 in there. So that's why it's $1 million at this point for it.
Well, I'm thinking next year we won't have that million, right?
No, that's not true.
Oh, no?
July 1, we'll be getting a check.
Okay.
I spoke to Uline yesterday about that.
I mean, for the next
For the following year,
budget season.
for the budget season that we'll be talking about for July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, that's when we anticipate it coming in.
Right, I'm talking 25, 26.
We have to deal with 1 year at a time.
Yeah, well, you won't have that. You'll be short 800K in that year. I'm just thinking ahead a little.
I know, but we're working on our budget for a presentation now. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Should you be budgeting that extra 15% that you're anticipating we might have to spend?
Myself,
Well,
I'm not this likely.
no, well.
And to be honest with you, I really think you're going to,
What's 50%?
it might happen. According to our contract, if you take,
Oh, I can't.
no, I'm just saying, if it happens, this will be a negotiation thing.
In the contract, they're allowed to ask.
They're allowed to ask for 15% higher than our salary, that's what's in our
And I'm the
contract.
bad guy on the other side of the table who says,
Okay.
okay,
But the thing is, I really feel, if he says, nah, that person's gonna walk, and I only found one person that's so far interested in coming in.
allow me to add on to that. I can't talk about negotiations of a contract because we are now in them.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Great. Thank you.
But like I said, they're tough to find. What it was like today, this was the first time I opened up my screen every day, it's like another town wants a building, another town wants a building for me. Like I said, we lost 65 in less than a year, about a little over a year and 3 months, about 65 buildings.
They're aging out.
Yeah. I tell you, I go to my meetings and a lot of guys walk in, they don't can't believe it. So it's like, you can see why we're running out of building officials.
When is the assistant building inspector going to retire?
The one current,
Yes.
Kyle's going to, he gave us his notice, he will be retiring as of July 3rd. This is
Okay.
his last day.
So the 39,000 and the 59,000 will be split between the other two, the ones that are currently
Yeah.
acting as.
It's a lot of juggling, but we're trying.
So they're both going to be contracted positions, correct?
Mhm.
So basically, we can add those two together, and that would be.
If that's what you'd like, but
And
trying to make it so
they're
it's
at
easy to
will
read.
contracts, there's no union contract.
correct,
Right
there's no
there.
benefit, no union contract.
So as soon as Uline's done and we don't need their services anymore, we come back.
Exactly, we'd be done. We understand it's only until the job is done.
They're both ready to retire anyways.
Well, that's why he's already retired.
Right,
I did in July, and Bob did the 2 years before that.
And by the way, I want to thank those gentlemen, because without their certifications, and without them offering to come back, we'd be in a world of hurt because we don't have anybody who's licensed. So it's helping out the town tremendously.
Is there another option as far as
No.
that type of position?
No,
You
there
can't
isn't.
subcontract it out to,
No.
there's no,
You can't go to a DCOG because there's so many towns that utilize the same position. You'd be looking at waiting months for somebody to get inspected.
Actually, without certification, you can't be an inspector.
right, I'm not saying they wouldn't be certified. I'm wondering if there's another resource out there. Instead of having a town employee, you could contract with a company that would do it.
No,
Because I know you guys, I believe, at one point, when we get, or maybe I was the fire marshal, we had Canterbury coming up to do inspections or something.
We go to Canterbury. We go to Canterbury.
I mean, Griswold, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Grizzle comes here for fire marshal. Yeah, okay, Grizzle backs, and also Canterbury bags.
Sorry, I'm not talking.
Unfortunately, for a building official, if you're not certified, you can't be.
I just didn't know if there was a private market for it.
Not yet. And they've been talking about 100 things in every year, but so far they're still trying to. They've been even doing different things to. They're adding more classes. They're trying to bring more people in that way. There's a whole bunch of things going on to entice people to become officials.
Even modifying the rules.
Well, if you look at that number, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
a tradesman's getting more than that right now.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. That's the thing, is that's why you see the raises that have been going up, all because of, why would somebody come out of the trades for less money? I know some people are in the 60s, and that's why we're losing them. They only last for 4 or 5 years, and then they're gone.
There used to be guys getting out of the industry that were kind of,
Which are older, and that's why they're aging
they're not
out.
lasting long.
Yeah.
And the test is not easy to.
Oh, the test is not easy, believe me. No. And it was scary.
Sorry. Bring me in.
Okay?
No problem.
Mary Ellen Hall, I'm the assessor for the town of Plainfield. I am a Plainfield resident. I have been in the assessor's office for 15 years, the assessor for 7 years, almost 7 years. So a couple of changes in my budget. You'll see that the property audits has been zeroed out. We moved that to the appraisal line item. We don't use the appraisal line item all that much, so we decided to move that over to help eliminate the costs. Let's see here. The computer software, you're seeing a big increase with that. We put 3 new computers in for our department. Our computers are now 5 years old. So it's time to look for a change over for those computers. Also, we have various softwares that we use in our department, and one of them increased considerably, $2,500 just this year, and that was a vision appraisal. So you did see an increase for that. Supplies and expenses. It's always an issue with JD Power, which was once known as NADA. We use those to price our motor vehicles for the motor vehicle grand list. It keeps on going up every single year. So that's a big increase with the supplies and expenses and the grand list printing. That keeps on going up, and that's just something we can't get away from. I was expecting Ted Devine to be here tonight because he always asks me about veterans. And so I just wanted to let him know, even though he's not here, we have about 500 veterans that are taking advantage of our veteran program.
Any other questions?
Vehicle expenses. You have a vehicle?
We have a vehicle, yeah. A 2007 Chevy Impala, I believe it is.
In wonderful condition.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yes.
Have we checked the underside of that?
I mean, so the idea is for, because it is an older vehicle, to share the vehicle with planning and zoning if possible. So we'll keep this vehicle, but if need be, we'll share the vehicle with planning and zoning.
I think they have to fight you with that.
We might have a little bit of a battle with that one.
Who else uses your car currently?
Nobody usually, sometimes on building grounds if need be, but
They've
usually
got 2 new
nobody.
vehicles, I think, this year, right?
2 vehicles this year?
Last year.
Yeah.
They got 2
Yeah,
vehicles.
so it's pretty rare that someone else uses that vehicle.
So did they share their vehicles with you?
No.
If she wants it.
They don't.
What's the grand plan for that vehicle?
We haven't spoken about that yet, but I think we might be able to look into that during the year, this year, to look at where we can get another one.
Take it as it comes, and then, you know, if it works out with sharing the vehicle with the zoning.
Well, I'm just remembering a few years back when I think it was the building inspector's vehicle put a shock tower through because it rusted out.
Yep.
I don't want to run into the same situation
Okay.
with another vehicle.
No, we're looking into that for this year. And also, while we're doing that, we're looking for any grant opportunity possible to see if we can get that.
Anything else?
Maybe the police vehicle will fly.
That is an old police vehicle.
I know.
What's that?
Thank you. That wasn't so bad, was it? All right, building and grounds.
Hello, Ron Roberts. I am from the town of Plainfield. I'm the buildings and grounds supervisor. I've held that position for about a month. Before that, I was just in the buildings and grounds department. Cleaning supplies and expense went up a little bit. Just things are going up. Cost of toilet paper, soap is going up. Our supplies and expense went up to $264 for that Microsoft computer software. We do have a vehicle expense line now for $5,000. That's towards gas, oil change. It's also towards fuel and stuff for the lawnmowers. We go through a lot of fuel in our department. We have between lawnmowers, weed whackers, snow blowers. That's about it.
Now, you have 3 part-time employees?
We have 2 full-time employees.
Oh, okay.
besides myself now.
Because we took,
Does that include you, or?
We've got 3 full-time includes me as a department head. I think they just didn't take it out. We lost our part-time last year, and it has not been replaced.
Do you anticipate replacing that position?
Well, I hope so, but I'm thinking no.
You part of the union?
Yes, supervisors union.
Why is that showing 12% where everybody else is 2?
Again, it needs to be modified and fixed.
no, it's
It's
because
because,
of current
that's,
year, he got
that's
it
because I moved from
right here.
Yeah.
maintenance guy to the.
You're showing reductions on the electricity and heat. Let me attribute that to.
That you would have to ask Kelly.
Electricity is the solar panels, we are saving some money, so that's a saving, so that's why that got reduced. The heat this year,
For your HVAC systems, and help
That's,
out.
that's what I would think of
Yeah.
the HVAC, so it's quite a bit more efficient. It's quite a bit more efficient than the old system.
And we can have a cold winter.
We did right, we didn't have cold winter.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, we didn't have to use the heat much this year.
Yeah, our new
but we do
heating
have to.
system works. It does, like the old system, when you call for heat, it burned at 100%. Our new system only burns at what it's asking for. So if it's just a sink, the furnace doesn't come on at 100%, it'll burn at 20%, because it's just heating a little bit of water. So it's quite efficient compared to the old system.
So the boiler we had downstairs heats the boiler, heats the pool
Heats the pool
and your domestic hot water.
and the domestic hot water.
So it's a water heater basically, not
Mhm.
really a boiler.
It also runs three small Modine heaters as well. They're water
In the
Modine.
pool area.
And the 2 locker rooms, and then there's one in the boiler room. The old boiler put off a lot of excess heat, the new one puts off none, and we didn't want to lose pipes, so we have a system. It's only set at 55, so I don't even know if it's ever even come on.
Had a little bit of a jump on overtime, too. Is that because
but we have more, like,
More
we did
events.
Moose Up,
Okay.
Field, like, there's more things that they're gonna have to do, which I'm anticipating there's gonna be overtime.
Any other questions?
Refuge, you dropped the price on that, does it, do we use that much?
What did you say?
Garbage, refuse.
Yeah,
Oh, same as last.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
7,000.
looking at.
yeah, 7,000. I think we'll be good with that.
Really good there.
Yeah, we'll be good with that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Finance Department, Kelly Vashon. The beginning is department head at 3%. I'm non-union, not part of a union. Now, the salaries, I have accounts payable person. She works for other departments too, so I have her maybe a quarter of the time. And I have an accounts receivable person, and I have a payroll person. What I am asking for is another maybe part-time person, 25,000. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to find this, to help out. With all the grants that we're receiving, I now have to record the grants all the way through the accounting system, receiving the money, paying out the invoices for the grants. We have ARPA funds going on right now too. That's a $4 million project that's going through my department. We have issues with our payroll department, the fact that not everyone follows the same procedures. We're trying to tidy that up. Payroll right now takes a very long time to do. What else is there? Hiring and firing of people. There's been a lot of new hires this year, and there's been a lot of people resigning this year. That all runs through my payroll department, which takes up a lot of time. Many moving parts in my department with all the union contracts, all the finances. So if I could get someone for 25,000 part-time would be great. The audit, you can see, went up $500. That's contract, so that's a set price. Payroll services, we use ADP. That is going up a little bit. The conference and training, I was leaving the same. Computers and software went up a little bit due to, I have 3 computers in my department. No, 4. No, not that, these 3, sorry. So that's going to cover for that software update. And supplies and expense, maybe another $500 for payroll, all the files that I have to maintain. We have to buy uniforms. So if you have any more questions.
You talked about trying to tidy up the payroll
Yeah.
process.
So we have people, the bulk of our people punch in and punch out, and we have one department that does not do that. So it's a nightmare on a Monday morning for payroll. Because we then have to reconcile what is being submitted for hours.
I don't think much.
I don't know.
Mr. First Selectman, why don't they much?
I've requested, they've denied.
Do we have a leg to stand on not to?
Maybe we can have this conversation offline, but we keep on asking them to do it, and they keep on saying, we're different, we don't have to. I mean, I'm talking with the attorney about that.
Are we still using the same auditor? I thought that contract was up.
Yeah, we have one more year. So next
One
year
more
it'll be
year?
done. Yeah, with Markham, yes. Our 2023 audit isn't yet completed. We're still in the process. I'm trying to push it through.
Do you anticipate the whole audit process being much more efficient next year?
I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping, yes.
Do we have an anticipated end date on that?
I'm saying April
Or
30th.
hopeful?
I'm hoping for April 30th, yeah. I want to be completed by then to give it to you guys.
I'm assuming somebody from Markham will be here.
Yeah, Kyle will be here.
Any other questions? You can raise that.
Yeah, that's all right. Mark Simmons, Recreation Director, been here for just over 3 years. I'm not a Plainfield resident. So starting with my salary, that is a significant increase. The thought behind that was to bring my salary up to a rate that was more comparable to other department heads, but also surrounding municipality recreation directors. It's also worth noting that, so I oversee the pool, the senior center, and the recreation department. Most municipalities have two separate departments for their recreation and senior center. But as I just pointed out, that's all under my purview, so that is the reasoning behind the large increase. All other full-time staff, so pool coordinator is a standard 3% increase. Recreation assistant, technically, we have a new position, assistant recreation director. That began in December, so that's why it's a 5% increase, because he started at $52,000, and then the 3% increase from there. So if you're comparing last year's salary to his salary, it's two different salaries and two different positions. Summer camp salaries, so that's, I'm not sure why that was created as a new line this year, but that's been on the budget since last year. That's to help offset summer camp expenses, so we can continue to make summer camp affordable. Essentially, summer camp expenses is anywhere, I'd say roughly about $125,000. We bring in maybe $100,000 if we're lucky. So again, that $30,000 is kind of in place to fill that gap. The part-time salaries, Kelly, do you know where that came from?
Summer rec?
Well, I think, so this might be a typo, so we might need to figure this part out, but.
I don't know.
Right, didn't see how it went from 30?
Yeah, it's 7,500.
Right. So I'm not sure how that happened.
You want it to be 30?
I guess it's not necessary, so it could be zeroed out.
Okay.
Which line are we talking about?
The part-time salaries - summer rec, it's kind of, there's kind of a duplicate line there.
The summer camp one is,
Right. So that line can either be zeroed out, or it can be changed to 30 and then cross out the new line. Like I
It's
said,
looking 30 and not 37. Not 37.5.
correct.
You want 30.
okay.
I was looking to combine those two into one.
But just at 30.
Your budget looks, I think, is a
Oh, I
little
get
different,
it,
but yes,
yeah.
I think we're on the same page.
30.
Correct.
Crossed out and below that.
Correct.
And then,
Recreation program coordinator, that's a standard 3%. Recreation custodian, standard 3%. Senior vehicle expense, that is doubling. We hopefully will have 2 new vehicles coming online soon. And also we've already exceeded our vehicle maintenance for this year. I think we exceeded that a few months ago, so this is just...
so what do you have now currently? It's 2 or 1?
We had, well, depends. So
What do you budgeted for this current fiscal year?
2 vehicles.
2 vehicles.
But one was totaled in November, so now we're down to 1. And then the silver 4-door sedan has been parked in our parking lot for the last month. So we are now operating with 1 vehicle, even though we're budgeted for 2. That's why I say it depends.
And you're leaning to having 2 new vehicles this fiscal year coming up.
Correct.
What, you need to increase your line item by that much with brand new vehicles, which should hopefully require less maintenance?